A lot of photographers aren't using Lightroom color grading simply because they don't understand how to use it properly, which is okay, because in this video, I'm gonna be showing you why I can't stop using it, plus how you can use it for your photography coming up. Hey, my name's David Johnston, and on the Landscape Photography University channel, we create videos to help you master your landscape photography from photo creation to business startup. So if that's something you're interested in, please hit the subscribe button below. It really helps the channel out. First, let's look at what Lightroom color grading actually is. Scroll all the way down on the right side to where you see color grading in your Lightroom window. Now you have three different ways of looking at color grading. Number one, you can see all three of them in one window, or you can click through shadows, midtones, or highlights. And the third, you can click on the global color that you want to produce in the photos. I would recommend staying away from the global part because we're trying to separate different kinds of tones and the colors represented in those tones, so global is not going to be very helpful for us. If we stay within these three circles or moved from shadows, midtones to highlights, that's going to be our best option of getting the best results out of this tool in Lightroom. So number one, I'm not touching midtones right now. What I can do is balance our colors with my midtones later on. So what I'm gonna do is go over to shadows and start working with that. Pretty much what I'm trying to do here is create more contrast in my photo. You may know contrast is separation between highlights and your shadows, or putting whites and blacks right next to each other. That's a great way to use contrast, but you can use color contrast too if you have cool tones and warm tones in the same photo. Now, if you think about cool tones and warm tones, cool tones are in those darker photos. So I'm going to gravitate my cool tones to my shadows because those are the darkest parts of the photos. So coming into the shadows circle, what I'm going to try to do is pull this down to a blue tone where those shadows are living. Now, this is a very subtle adjustment that we're trying to do because obviously if you pull it all the way to the blue, it's going to make your photo look blue, just like if you were to pull it all the way to another color, it would make those shadows look very red. So what I'm trying to do is just have it barely into that blue section, and that's going to put blue on all of these shadow portions. It can also get over into our bird if we're having a lot of shadow portions on here, or any other subject in your photography too. You can also have luminance on those as well, so you can brighten or darken those shadows a little bit. I'm gonna drop mine to darken those some. Next, I'm going to hit on the highlights because I'm trying to separate those out. So if I look at the highlights next, I want those to be a little bit warm because now after the shadows portion, I'm finding that my photo is a little bit cooler. So what I'm going to do to create a warm tone is use a yellow or orange into the highlights to create that separation from blue to yellow. Now, if you don't know why we're using those colors, we're using something called complementary colors, where I'm taking one color on one side and using the opposite on the other side. So if I want cool tones in my shadows, I want the opposite of warm tones. So down here we had blues in the shadows, so I'm gonna reflect that with my warm tones over here. So I'm just gonna pull it over to a yellow tone and try to bring that in as much as possible and have it to about right there without getting it too bright. Now, I'm also going to pull in my luminance for this because I want my bird to be the brightest part of this photo. You can also have blending come in with this. Now, what blending is it pulls it from cool tone or warm tone or blue to yellow, and that's gonna be the overall dominance of this color in your photo. So if I want it to be a little bit warmer, I'm just gonna pull it up slightly to the right. And for balance, it's kind of the same way. You see it get warmer or cooler in that. So if I want it a little bit warm, I'm just gonna pull it up like that, or if I want it a little bit cool, I can pull it down like that. So that's kind of how our photos work. Now, in just a second, I'm gonna show you the one way that you can level up how to use your color grading that nobody else is doing. But first, if this has given you a lot of value, I have a full course called 10-Day Landscape Photographer that takes you through using your camera, composition, and editing all in a 10-day span. That's on sale right now, so click down below in the video description and in the pinned comment if you want to snag that full course. So we've done our color grading here. We've separated out our cool tones versus our warm tones in our shadows and our highlights. Now what I want to do is reflect kind of what I'm doing with my color, hue, saturation, and luminance sliders. So once we do the color correction, we're now coming up to the hue, saturation, and luminance sliders to try to enhance what we've done in the actual color correction circles. So now what I'm doing is going to work on my yellows in this and try to get them right where I want them to be. So something a little bit more green to balance out what that did with the blue. And then for blues, I'm trying to find a good blue tone that I want to use, something pretty dark blue in that. Aquas as well, I'm gonna pull to a darker blue down here. Now with green, I can play around with that because sometimes it does mix in a little bit of green with the yellow. It didn't in this photo though. So all those sliders did was basically just further enhance what we did with the color correction to kind of fix the overall look of the photo. Remember, it's a step-by-step process building one on top of the other, so all these tools can be used together instead of one versus another one. So let's further look at how to enhance this. So let's come down to the yellows. I can increase the saturation of my yellows and my oranges as well and try to bring out a lot of those warm tones. And if I want to also do the same thing with my cool tones, I can pull those blues up a little bit as well. Now for luminance, I can do the same thing. Luminance is just going to show how bright those colors are within the photo. Every single pixel that is represented by a color also has a luminance value. This is taking that luminance value and making it darker or making it brighter in the photo to have certain parts of the photo show up more than the others. So if I take my blues down, it's gonna make those blue tones darker or brighter. So I'm just going to drop those just a little bit and also increase my yellows and my oranges, and there we have it. So now we have the finished photo. I want to show you the before and after here of what this actually looks like. If I do the before and after, you can see everything we've done in this photo and made this bird stand out a lot more. We've also brought in a lot more color and detail into the bird itself and separated out highlights and shadows and put in a lot more color contrast in here. If you look back in the rocks too, you can see a lot more color contrast going on. And even down in the rock that the bird is standing on, you can see a lot more color contrast there as well. So this is how you use color correction the best way and how you can use it correctly. If you want another video that's gonna help you out a ton, you can click on this playlist. It's gonna take you through several videos on how to edit better photos. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe so that you don't miss a video as well. I'll see you in the next one.